To understand what impact gender roles and stereotypes have on film, we must mention how gender was filmed during the early years of film and towards the late 2000s. We can often explain this through Laura Mulvey's famous feminist film theory of the male gaze. The male gaze is said to be a traditionally masculine point of view, as many films of the early to late 2000s portrayed women to be traditionally submissive and often shown to be helpless, hence the use of terms like damsel in distress. They often film women in such a way that over-sexualizes femininity and in some cases objectifies them. This had a knock-on effect on films at first and even today. Even the superhero genre of films was affected, with a few women superhero characters still being overly sexualized, such as in Wonder Woman, 1974, directed by Vincent Mcvie. As well as classic films such as The Princess Bride, 1987, in which traditionally female roles and stereotypes are heavily used in the storyline and heavily influences the film's portrayal of Princess Buttercup.
Through the years there has been an uproar of progressive change in the film industry as the traditional portrayal of women in films has drastically changed. But the portrayal of women wasn't the only thing that changed. More same-sex couples have appeared in film and more untraditional gender roles have been shown. The traditional gender's portrayal and influence in film was changed as non-traditional genders were shown and portrayed, such as trans people and non-binary people, in less stereotypical ways, though stereotypes still have a large influence in the industry. However, the demand for more diverse gender representations and gender roles has negatively affected the quality of characters in film. Because we have forgotten what makes a film's characters relatable and what makes films interesting in the first place. Films such as Star Wars: The Force Awakens are a great example. The writers at Disney were so focused on making a strong female protagonist with a diverse cast of genders and ethnicities that they forgot a key part of what makes creative medias such as films and books so interesting: the flaws and struggles. The character of Rey was a massive result of this oversight, as throughout the movie she never really goes through a large change or struggle. For example, she clearly is shown to be an amazing pilot and skilled fighter, even though we have little to zero proof of this. But Finn is a stormtrooper, in which we are told was trained to fight from birth to be a soldier, so when Rey manages to defeat him and take him to the ground, it is a big mistake from the writers. The writers focused on the strong female protagonist role that they forgot to explain her background or anything to explain who she is and why. But the opposite of this is Luke Skywalker from Star Wars: A New Hope, as the film portrays him as a boy raised on a farm in a dangerous world, so he would need to be skilled with droid repairs. He would need to be able to defend himself, which is why he was skilled with a gun. But Rey was never shown to be like this. She is simply shown to be a scavenger alone on a desolate world. The progression of gender roles and stereotypes has also had a positive impact on the film industry, as many films which confront the common gender roles and traditions at the time have been produced, such as Bend It Like Beckham, 2002, which directly confronts the gender stereotype of girls being unable to play football well or even play football at all, which was important because at the time women's football was largely in the shadows, and at the time a huge part of the younger generations all had dreams to become footballers, especially among boys. But it wasn't the only film to confront the gender stereotypes directly at the time. In fact, 2 years earlier, Billy Elliot, 2002, had confronted the gender stereotype of boys being unable to do ballet and encourages boys to do ballet, despite people might say, if you love it then you should be able to do it as well as anyone else can, no matter the gender. It also confronts the stereotype of boys who do ballet being gay or bisexual, but this is not the case. So, in my opinion, gender diversity and representation has generally improved since then, but we still need to make progressive changes in the industry, such as confronting issues like male suicide and mental health, as well as encouraging LGBT+ people and those of different ethnic backgrounds to feel welcomed and able to work in this amazing industry. though we still must be careful as rushed change can have terrible consequences on film, as pressure for diversity can be harmful as well, because truly understanding gender and sex will take time. I wish for a world where gender and sex has zero impact on characters, actors and anyone within the creative media industry, so everything is about quality rather than what gender and sex are represented within the creative industry, so creativity is the only subject to be judged.